Well, throughout this past month, we have been looking back at some of the top ag law and tax developments from 2023. More importantly, the lessons learned from these issues. And the man who's been doing that for us, Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law. Roger, thank you as always. We have got the top two, finally, that we are breaking down. So let's start. Coming in at number 2, foreign ownership of agricultural land. And this has received so much attention in numerous state legislatures as well as the federal level. So tell us about this making it to the list and so high.
Yeah, Suzanne, thanks for having me today. Several high-profile events have spurred this renewed interest in this issue, including a Chinese-owned company that acquired over 130,000 acres of land near an Air Force base in North Dakota, that one was in Texas, and a 300-acre purchase by another Chinese company near an Air Force base in North Dakota. Plus, you had the China-originated virus in 2019, the slow flyover of a Chinese spy balloon from Alaska to South Carolina in 2023, and then numerous mysterious damages to food processing facilities even within the last week, pipelines and rail transportation. That's all combined to the growing interest in national security and restrictions on ownership of U.S. farm and ranch land by what is defined federally as known adversaries. And it's really ramped up at both the federal and the state level.
So, Roger, are there current laws surrounding foreign ownership?
Well, we've always had a reporting requirement at the federal level since the late 1970s. It wasn't an ownership restriction. It was just a reporting requirement to the USDA so they could track who owns farmland. Now, some states had a similar requirement, but in terms of actual outright ownership restrictions, there really wasn't much of anything until recently.
You know, this is interesting. We just had Senator Roger Marshall here in the studio with us talking about this exact thing. I wanted to bring this up, and I'm glad we're going to address it with you. The issue of restricting foreign investment has been raised now in multiple states. I mean, when we look at China buying one of the largest pork producers in the country, that is, and of course, having access to all of that information, owning in the states. So what's the outlook there as we move forward?
Well, you're correct. Numerous states did address this issue of restricting ownership of ag land, and others at least took a look at it in 2023 and proposed legislation. But perhaps most prominently in terms of the states that actually enacted tough restrictions, I would say would be Florida and Arkansas. And in fact, the governor of Arkansas late in 2023 ordered divestiture of some farmland owned by a subsidiary of a Chinese company. But about a dozen other states also enacted laws in 2023 restricting foreign ownership, and that trend continues already this year in the legislative sessions in about a dozen other states. So this is going to continue to be an issue going forward, and it's an issue of safety of, I would say, and control over the U.S. food supply, and we want to make sure that that stays in loyal hands.
Absolutely. So, Roger, what do you have? One more to go?
One more.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here. Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law. Always a pleasure.